What up, everybody? Let me get to the spot. It's getting a little late here, but thank you all for joining. This is Carlton Hamilton. This is Plan Your Greatness. And you know, my son said something the other day as he was sitting there and he was watching one of my videos. Now, I'm comfortable with my voice on videos. Hold on a second. Let me get the video. Hold on. Get the microphone ready. All right. Recording with the microphone now. All right. My son said something that warmed my heart. He said, "Wow." He said, "Dad, you have a really good voice on the video." And I'm comfortable with my voice now, but still, to hear it play back, it always sounds a little weird. You know what's interesting? To me, I sound like a combination of two of my brothers. I sound like a combination of Anthony and Daryl. I could see little bits of Greg in there and my little brother Andre, but the two people that I believe I sound the closest to is Anthony and Daryl. So I'm kind of a combination there. Don't know how that came about. That just is. All right, let's get right to it. All right, this is Plan Your Greatness. These videos are specifically, this channel is built around the release of the book. Okay, so I wanted to have content to talk a little about what is in the book, what is the value of the book, the things that are in there. I'm hitting on pieces of it. So if you've not read the book, okay, it hasn't come out yet, but when it comes out and you're looking at one of these videos and something just strikes you, you need to go buy the book. Okay, because I'm going to talk a little bit about it. You're going to know everything, but just to read it in its specific order and its layout, you'll get a better understanding of my life and how these things that I went through and how I'm here to share, because I don't want anyone to go through what I went through. Because again, dysfunctional home, bad academic experience, elite status as an athlete got me out of it, but it sheltered me from the real responsibilities of life. So that when I left the game of baseball, completely unprepared for life, which caused me to make these bad decisions, which resulted in me going to prison and making the most important decisions of my life. And I'm here as a result of those decisions, and I share those in the book, how I overcame depression and suicide on my way to becoming a college grad, a father, an author, and a motivational speaker. Because if I can get through that, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, everybody on this planet, because I'm no better, I'm different, but I'm no better than anybody else. Because greatness is in everybody, not just me. All right. Now, shout out to this out here in Arizona, because we have warm weather all year round. People are swimming all the time. So this purple ribbon is shout out to Drowning Awareness Month. Now, I always think that's kind of funny. That's kind of an oxymoron, but I'm just bringing awareness to it. Watch your children around water. There's no excuse for you to jump on the phone when you got a 2-year-old standing next to the pool. I hear some of these stories and I think they're just absolutely ridiculous. Why are you inside the house he crawled through the gate? No, I have 2 teenagers. There's no way in the world that I'm doing anything where my 1-year-old, 1-month-old, whatever, is crawling out to the pool without being watched. Unacceptable. But this is just to bring awareness to it. Be careful. Pay attention to where your kids are. I was out doing something else and I turned my head and they jumped in the pool. Come on now. Bunch of bull. You just trying to save yourself from being arrested for neglect. All right. That's a whole nother story. All right. So we are on the introduction chapter of the book, where I tell you a little bit about myself, but what I do is I introduce you to the 5 stages of grief I went through. We've already covered denial. We've covered anger, and we are covering bargaining today. Okay, these are huge. I'm going to try to get through this. We've been on here for almost 5 minutes, but I'm going to try to get through these very quickly because I want them to be short. I don't want to just stand out here for a whole hour talking about it, because I'll spend more time hitting on some of these topics in longer videos. All right, but for this one, we're just talking specifically about what's covered in the introduction of the book. All right, again, rocking my ASU alma mater, and I'm rocking my city, Phoenix, Arizona. I love that PHX. That looks cool. That's the, like, if you fly, you know that's the code for the airport. All right, bargaining. I promise. That was my word. I was telling myself, I promise I will fill in the blank. I promise I will stop watching porn. I promise I will, if you get me out of here, I'll stop messing with those fat booty girls who have questionable past. They were always trouble. Never trust a big butt and a smile. All right. The other thing is, I'll stop hanging around these people with just criminal backgrounds. I mean, I'll go back to school. I'll get my degree. I'll donate to charity. I was trying to cut a deal in every which way you could. And what I look back at is that was addict behavior, because that's exactly what an addict would do. They would put on Academy Award performance just to get out of that situation. But it's very short-term thinking, because in a sense I was just bullshitting. All right. Lying to other people is one thing, but when you start lying to yourself, which again, I am pointing my finger at me, because I was doing that. I was trying to fool everyone else, but eventually you get to the point where you are lying. You're so deep in these lies, you start believing it. You start fooling yourself. That is dangerous. All right. So, prisoner of the moment, because all you're trying to do is get through that moment right then. Get the cuffs off you. You know, get the gun off your forehead. You know, it's in a bad situation. That's all you want to do. Once you got out there, whoo, you had no plan long term. You just needed to get out of that situation. And that's deadly, because then you didn't learn from it. Okay? So I began to, after that point, bargaining, cutting deals, lying to others, lying to myself, prisoner of the moment. I began to come out of that bargaining phase. And when I started to come out of that bargaining phase, I learned something real quick. I said, failure isn't like now. Failure is when I'm dead. What I mean by that is it takes your entire life to then be called a failure. You see what I'm saying? It takes your entire life to then be saying, oh, that person was a failure. Because the closer you get to the end, you have less margin for error. But if you start that process at some point in time earlier, you have a good chance of playing catch up and end on a good note. Have a good fourth quarter. All right. So as I began to understand that, I started looking at the regrets. The time I had wasted. Okay? Because I was saying anything in the past to get through that moment. Now I'm having regrets for the wasted time. Now, what I started doing after I was out of the bargaining state, I was still in bargaining, but what I was doing, I was then looking at the root causes of why I was in that situation. And this is where it gets sketchy and very powerful. And some people regress from this point, is because when you start looking at your life and start really taking accountability for why you're doing something, you start realizing the pre-programming that was in your head, that the record that was playing, the language, the negative self-talk. You start realizing that, and you know what happens? You start understanding that this was all in your control. Okay, because we bargain with life all the time. Life doesn't bargain back with us. But we're constantly bargaining on so many levels for so many things. And what I've learned from that is when you start bargaining with life like that, because life isn't going to bargain back with you, then what you do, you settle. You bargaining for mediocrity, because life is demanding the best out of you. Life said, you give me your best, I'm gonna give you the best that you're gonna give me. But when you start bargaining, you're settling. So you're bargaining for mediocrity. And when you start doing that, now that leads you into your next, the next stage of grief, which is depression. See how that flows right up in there? That once you come out of that bargaining and you start to take responsibility, that shit is going to hurt. And you're going to move into that next stage, which is depression. All right. So in the next video, I'm going to talk on, this will be the last one on the introductory series, but we're going to talk about, no, we have two more. We have depression and acceptance. But we're going to talk about that depressed state, what I was going through and how I was dealing with that depressed state. So again, thank you for watching this video. Like it, subscribe to it, share this video, especially if you know somebody that you feel that this video and this content and maybe some of the other ones would be very important for them to listen to, somebody who has gone through that, come out on the other side. All right, this is Carlton Hamilton. This is Plan Your Greatness. And I'll say this again, planning your greatness is very intentional. It's not by accident. So again, I'll say this, plan your greatness. You know why? No one else will. I'll see you guys on next time.